Formally request a Dhamma talk. Ramachaloka Dipati Sahampati Katanjaliana Divaramaya Chata Sandita Sata Parajaka Jatika Te se tu dhammam anukampi mam pajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So I'll begin with a quotation. Let's see if you can think of who it might be from. Skill is the beginning of freedom. Anybody? You're not going to get it. Maybe Brock might. It's I read it in a delightful book, a kind of biography of one of the 20th century's great cabinet makers named James Krenov, and I thought, well, what works in cabinetry works in probably all human pursuits. Of course, freedom is relative to what it is that we're investigating, what it is that we're working on. So for him, it would be, I suppose, the ability to conceive of objects which would have some value, some lasting value, and which would, and part of that lasting value would include beauty, harmony, and other features, and so provide value to human lives of the people who own this object. For us, of course, it's different, but still that observation, that insight, I think, is a very keen one. Skill is the beginning of freedom. Because when we learn something and it becomes actually a skill, it isn't just, we're not, working away at it with our brows furrowed, but we have some familiarity with the process that we're engaged in. We have a sense of how, where it leads, how it opens up from one day to the next. Then it does offer the sense of potential and possibility, which is very good. So, as I said earlier, our winter retreat is underway now. We're a little less than a month into it. Lumpur Dhamma was back from a very busy time in Asia, a couple of months, and we have a visiting abbot from Switzerland also here. Enjoying time away from his other, responsibilities as an abbot. So he's taking plenty of time for that a monastery like this offers. And we have a lovely support crew and whatnot. So it's going very well so far, including a young dog beautiful Bernese dog that kind of reminds a person every day. He has like maybe two moods. One is sleepy, or maybe three. One would be hungry, and the other is just happy. He sees one person, he sees the next. If it's a group of people, he wants to make sure he sees each person, gets a hug and lick and whatever. It's quite remarkable to be around a creature that has three speeds. And interesting too to observe the kind of natural joy that arises just being with these beings. So we have, we have a couple of visiting people right now. We always have there's a bit of room for visitors who are known to us and who we know can benefit from a lot of quiet time and significant practice time. So we have a couple of women with us right now, and then three men, all in their 30s, will be entering the Anagarika training, Pakao training in sometime next month. So it's a lovely time to be here. Full of clean snow right now, so things are looking quite nice, very wintry. One of the things that comes up for everybody, I think, especially when you have as it were, a kind of new crop of young monastic aspirants as a retreat begins, because probably I'm guessing yeah, all of them are somewhat new to long retreats of this kind. They've all had their own experience of practice, but they're everyone's interested in how to do it right, how to get it right, what this practice involves. So there are so many ways that a person can approach this, and it's been my job this month anyway to give a few talks on this and reflect on it in ways which I hope are useful. It's interesting how little you need to say in the presence of genuine interest, and because people with a background in practice such as you all here and are interested enough to come to such things and join remotely, virtually in this way. I found at least that very little needs to be said. It isn't like you're trying to, as a speaker, you're not trying to impress a crowd of skeptics and who want the next best, or who are there to compare you to the last speaker they had, and you're presenting something in the most interesting and provocative manner you can. That's actually not a lot of fun, but being with a group of practitioners in this way is a very different experience. And as I say, very little often needs to be said. One way of approaching the question of what to do is maybe going directly to what it is that constitutes right effort. Yeah, assuming that people have some background in what we call techniques and practice, and have some experience over time, trying this, trying that, finding this works, finding that, the moods, the occasion, the day, the environment, all, makes a difference in how all of this goes. And yet there is this interesting question of how right effort might be understood. Lumpur Dhamma, the last time we had Lumpur Sumedho here, and maybe the last time too, because I think Lumpur Sumedho is dedicated to traveling much less now, not making long trips. So maybe just within Europe. He'll be 90 in July. But the last time he was here and in Lumpur Bir Dhamma, and he actually conversed from time to time via Skype or whatever, FaceTime, I guess. And old friends, they love to talk Dhamma and just converse. And Lumpur Bir Dhamma asked Lumpur Sumedho what what did right effort mean for him, and Lumpur Sumedho gave a response that maybe needs a little bit of a little placeholder, but he said no effort. And probably any of us who have had, and probably all of you here have had periods of meditation when actually almost by accident, and maybe in the middle of a retreat or something, all of a sudden there's just, and it's not like you're doing much. In fact, maybe it's because you're not doing much, but this beautiful stillness emerges in the midst of experience. There's a kind of silence. The mind is just naturally inclined to observe the breath, to be noticing the characteristics of the breath. The body is calm, collected. There's a kind of ease to experience. And conceiving of effort, defining effort in that kind of circumstance probably brings it one a lot closer to understanding how no effort actually is meaningful in such a circumstance. That is not putting oneself forward. The self is in fact completely out of the way. So there's no need to, oh, what do I need to do now? There's no questioning here. It's actually quite obvious. It's very obvious to one's attention. So that happens sometimes, and hopefully all of us are here have experienced that from time to time. And it probably it has, and if so, it's probably one of the things that keeps us coming back to the sitting mat or the walking path or what have you. Right effort is of course the Buddha speaks about right effort in more analytic terms, and he expands upon this notion more than in a less subtle manner, seemingly less subtle manners than this. So right effort, I'm sure you've all seen this, is understood as being fourfold. Prevention. So, and what we've been doing here, yeah, sitting down, and thoughts come to the mind, and you sort of keep them at bay. You let them go. You let them go. So there's a kind of effort here to keep the playing field clear, yeah, to keep the garden free of weeds and just in a good state, clear. And things that do come up and things that are present. So we looked at the body. Body is the first foundation of mindfulness, and it's really the perfect place to start any meditation. It's actually a very good place to start a lot of things, such as when you ask yourself, well, how am I doing today anyway? Look at the body. It might have a few things to tell you. But elimination in this context, in the context of the body, for example, is just what we're doing. What does a face feel like? What's the texture of the body? Can you feel tension in places? And is it not true? Is it not the case that once something as subtle as the feeling in the eyes, yeah, we don't often think about the eyes. We don't often draw our attention deliberately to the eyes. And it's interesting that when one is settling down and just stilling oneself, centering oneself, and letting things go, that the simple act of attending to the eyes or the mouth or the tongue, whatever, uh, naturally brings a kind of it's a source of relaxation. It brings ease to these parts of the body. You can practice this yourself. Just right now, think, what is my right hand? What does the palm of my right hand feel like? See if it isn't the case that perhaps you all of a sudden notice the temperature. Maybe even there's a bit of tingling that begins to occur in the palm of the right hand. We've all noticed this with ourselves. I remember as a youngster, I was 14 or 15 or something. I had a wart on my on my thumb. Can't remember which hand now. And I was already sort of interested in meditation at this time. And so I was sitting doing what I thought was meditating, and then kind of brought my attention to this wart. And the more I did that, the more I found the wort kind of, the wort stood out in my attention. It was sort of tingling. And I kind of started wondering, wonder if the wort, I wonder if this will make the wort go away. And I sort of sat like that for a while, and it continued to tingle. And sure enough, within about 3 days, I can't remember how long it was before I noticed that the wort was smaller. I've only had two works in my life, but within 3 days, 2 days, it had gone. So that was an interesting little experiment and a bit of confirmation and encouragement for the fledgling meditator. But attention drawn to the body like this has an effect. I know a lot of you have done your fair share and more of yoga, for instance, and I know some of you are great exercisers, and I think of one old gentleman in particular right now on his rowing machine and so forth. But this bringing the body into regular kind of conversation, turning together, observing the nature of bodily experience is an excellent way of cultivating the attentive faculty, the faculty of mindfulness, making it stronger, making it more alert, more precise. So these first two elements of right effort, then prevention and elimination. So developing means to just the fact that we settle in meditation. We're already, and we're arranging our body in a meditative manner. Even if we're walking, we're determining that now the walking is slow, and it's along this 20 or 30 paces or what have you. It's in this area. We're setting the stage. We're conducting ourselves in a way that we're informing our whole faculties of intention that this is a meditative exercise, and this in itself kind of keeps things at bay. It begins to still things in the periphery of experience. So that prevention then begins in that way, and then with mindfulness, alert and present, and always beginning with the body, we notice sources of attention, sources of disturbance, of fluctuation, of preoccupation or whatever that arise, thoughts, sensations, and things like that. And when we notice them, the noticing in itself will it singles them out, and that in itself will begin to change them. See if that is not the case as well. Because when we get lost in thought, lost in imagination, recollection, memory, what have you, it's that we are not actually attentive. We're not attending to these things. We're caught in the stream of them. We've been carried away by the flow of some memory, for instance. But when attention is kindled again, everything stops. Everything changes. We're no longer subject to this flow of memory. So attention, mindfulness, sati is such a powerful thing actually when it's developed. The last two, so those are prevention and elimination. The last two are cultivation. So then there are things actually to actively cultivate, to to see the calming occurring, to energize the mind. Cultivating can also be, I know you've all experienced the value of generating loving kindness, generating compassion. These kinds of experiences naturally, um, among other things, feel very good in the body. They are relaxing. They feel healthy. They feel generous. That the impulse of kindness is actually very powerful. So when we're engaged in this kind of cultivation, again, it is a natural and easy thing to be attentive to experience. Mindfulness, in other words, is a natural occurrence. So cultivation in this case, and this other aspect, yet another aspect of right effort, this has immediate benefit. And then the last of them is maintenance, keeping it going. Uh, um, um, Skill in this case is applying whatever is useful, is valuable to whatever is occurring in experience. But with maintenance, it's just maybe continuing to generate loving kindness, continuing to generate compassion. Feel the results of this cultivation. Notice what it does in the body. Notice how that brings clarity to the mind. So all of these four aspects then have they do have specific characteristics that we can observe. And the more familiar we become with them, the more skillful we become. The more skill we develop with these four aspects of right effort, the more freedom we have in the midst of meditation. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. One way of looking at these, and some of you may remember Venerable Puniji, but and I'm sure it isn't original or only a characteristic of his teaching, but one way of looking at these is the first two, so prevention and elimination, have to do with samatha. Everyone here knows about samatha vipassana, this kind of compound term that it occurs so often, so many times in the Pali literature. So samatha is calming, serenity, and vipassana typically insight, serenity and insight. So the first two, by focusing on keeping a kind of light, lively attention on the body, for example, and preventing things from emerging, preventing being carried away by thoughts, memories, disturbances, emotions which arise, regrets, things of this kind. It isn't just with the body, as we all know, but regrets, sources of anger, irritation, frustration, these kinds of things. If we are able to prevent these, And if not prevent them, then eliminate them when they arise through being attentive to them. We are developing calm. We're developing the foundation for calm or serenity. And serenity is necessary, as we all know, serenity is necessary for the mind to become more clear. And the image that comes up often in the literature is just, water, which is turbulent, water which, brings up the mud from the bottom of the stream or the pond. So you put a stick in there and it's flowing hard over rocks and so forth, and it's not, you can't see through it clearly. But when water slowly settles and the mud, the debris and whatnot settle, and even the water itself it becomes clear, becomes lucid, and you can see right through into the stones and whatnot in the pond. So serenity and insight they work together, but it's serenity which is required for insight actually to have a foundation to develop and emerge, to erupt in the midst of experience. Of course, the foundation, I mean, we're talking simply about the seventh factor of the Eightfold Path. All of the Eightfold Path needs to be considered. And in the way I've been speaking about it, I'm sure you're aware. So number 7 is right effort. Number 8 is right mindfulness, and right. Number 10 is right samadhi or stillness. And all of those 3 then are kind of drawn into this understanding of right effort. With right effort in the terms that I've been speaking about it, mindfulness is naturally present, and there is this natural stilling of and tranquilizing of experience, bodily experience, but also the experience of the mind. The emotional state becomes subdued and tranquil and serene, clear, and that enables attention to become very, very precise, and establishes the conditions, the foundation for mindfulness and for wisdom to really emerge. So we have the last of the Eightfold Path here, the last little category of the Eightfold Path, and you remember that we have Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So the Eightfold Path, is sort of broken up in different ways, and so Sila, Samadhi, Panya puts those last 3 into the middle. So virtue is required. Virtue is a foundation for all of this. Living a decent and honest and harmless life. So right speech, action, and livelihood need to be present in all of this undertaking. Any kind of effort in meditation which has ignored one's behavior, one's patterns of thought and patterns of speech and behavior in the world, and even privately, one's attitudes towards others and so forth. If we're not attentive to this, we are neglecting in a very serious way the very foundation for being able to calm, to make the attention and experience calm and serene and clear. And at the other end of things, of course, people are interested. We're all interested as practitioners in gaining understanding, in wisdom. Sila, Samadhi, Panya, wisdom. So right effort in these 4 characteristics as I've described them, and how right effort works into samatha vipassana, how it naturally provides a foundation for samatha vipassana, calm and insight. it provides the basis in its turn for the emergence of wisdom, whether this is pronounced and life transformative in the way that the Buddhist texts describe, or if it's kind of the incremental wisdom, the understandings that do accrete over time as we continue our practice, as we age and mature as practitioners. This too comprises wisdom for us and offers us evidence of the value of the path that we're undertaking. So, skill is the beginning of freedom. Thank you, Mr. Krenov. I'll leave those reflections for you.
Sadhu, 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 anamodami.
So we have time for questions that might come up. Boy, just make the observation. It's very different to talk to a screen with, and I'm sure it's different to listen to a kind of screen broken up into 20 squares, rectangles. Anyway, it's not like being present with people. Zoom is good, but it isn't the best. I much prefer being with people.
Brian, you have a question. Would you like to pose it, please?
Yes.
I,
Ajahn, Pavaro, good to see you again. I have an interest in
There's one.
Buddhist cosmology and how it can relate to explaining extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings or UFOs. And a few Buddhist monks, have talked about this. Some have, like Ajahn put a Dhamma. I was just wondering if something you can consider giving a talk about either now or maybe preparing one of your future talks about it. Because I think the UFO community could really learn from the knowledge of Buddhism, of Buddhist cosmology, something they just don't know about.
Well, not tonight. It's that sounds like an awfully big enterprise. Yeah, I don't know what I have practically to say about UFOs and Buddhist cosmology, but just in general, Buddhist cosmology is very vast, and the Buddha doesn't talk about what would we call them, galactic beings, in the way that probably they are referred to, but they can be, I'm sure, folded into Buddhist cosmology. I don't know that I have much, practically, concretely to say about that, Brian, but maybe I'll give it some thought.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, in part, I guess, and I'll leave it at this, because when I sort of come into these, when I'm invited into these groups, I am thinking about practice and encouraging people in their practice, and not quite. I don't. I'm not involved with groups speaking about, say, broadly speaking, Buddhist philosophy, and that I know that would have a practical application, but in this particular case, I'm not sure. I have mentioned, devas from time to time, just because they are kind of delightful things to contemplate, and they're actually among the 10 recollections reflections that the Buddha that are spoken about, and there is value in that. I'm not actually sure what we would do with extraterrestrials in that case, but if they're good extraterrestrials, invite them into your meditation. Maybe you can have something to say about it. If there are extraterrestrials, I'm sure there are some wise ones. So may they be well.
right. Brock, would you like to unmute yourself and pose your question, please?
Sure.
There we go.
Oh,
There's Brock. Okay. I'm learning where to look.
Yes, Ajahn, you were talking about samatha being part of the first two parts of right effort of the prevention and elimination generating calm. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit more about that. Then I assume then that's creating the kind of a foundation for then the kind of generating of wholesome qualities of the next the 3 and 4 of the right effort of then
Mhm.
cultivating and maintaining and increasing the good qualities.
Yeah, I mean, as I understand it, and you know, in a sense, as I experience it too, we we always use this word, right? You know, effort, of course, and the word effort itself implies something for most of us because we use the word normally in life to apply to things that we have to do and things that we have to do better and try harder at and so forth. And things that we get judged on and you know, getting from grade 8 to grade 9 and that kind of thing. So I'm not always sure that the word effort, sometimes we need to expand upon it, just lighten it up a bit, bring some aerate it, you might say, to some degree. Because I say that because just thinking about samatha vipassana and thinking about them in that order and laying the foundation with samatha, it isn't an effortful enterprise. As I understand it, when the prevention and elimination and whether we're doing one or the other simply depends on what's arising in experience. That prevention and elimination then naturally, and you might say, as I've been saying in a way, it effortlessly provides a foundation for serenity. So serenity naturally arises. You know, when you expel your breath, you don't have to think about or bring effort into inhaling again. It just, that's what happens. So it's a little bit more along these lines as I see it. Just as devoting oneself to kindness and considering the quality of our speech. And you know, a friend is troubled by something, and then you know, instead of just saying, "Oh, don't worry," maybe feeling some empathy emerging and sitting with their difficulty for a moment, and then seeing what, you know, if perhaps some helpful observations come to mind and can be offered. Behaving in a kind way, generously, where generosity becomes this kind of skill and a natural expression of our attentiveness to our being with others. What I'm saying here is virtue emerges, and it naturally provides a foundation. We're not always thinking, okay, I'm going to spend the next 3 days working on virtue, and then I'd like to, you know, spend that coming weekend meditating, and then I'll have, you know, we don't do that, and we all know this. I mean, we're just engaged in the wonderful and sometimes not so wonderful complexity of life from one day to the next, and things come and they go, and things are changing, things are unpredictable. People have their moods, we have our moods, and so forth. And we're responding to things as they arise. And out of this response, insofar as we're bringing attention to it, we are generating some skill. Skill is emerging on its own. We don't have to generate this skill, you see, by ourselves attending to what needs to be attended to, and that comes to us simply by observing, by being present in the moment, who we're with, what we need, what our responsibilities are, and that skills emerge from our response to life in this kind of way. Similarly, serenity develops naturally in the face of these skills that we give attention to. I think I'm going around in a circle here, and again, I'm maybe I need to look at people on the screen. I'm out of habit, and as I mentioned earlier to Jean, this is the first time I've used this big screen, and I'm kind of lost these little rectangles. So there's something about the beauty of practice that emerges naturally when we attend to what is needful in the moment. And we can quite rightly ask, well, what is needful in the moment? And that is a matter of learning. It's a matter of practice. It's a matter of conditioning our responses to things. And over time, as we know, things which are done regularly and are refined as best as we can, and then picked up again, things which are prevented and eliminated and cultivated and maintained, habits do develop, skillful habits do develop. These are not mindless habits, because that's the word we normally give to habitual reactions. But skill also can develop habits. They come to us easily. They come to us naturally. And we've all had those occasions when, just the right 5 words come to mind and come to the lips when some friend has struggled with something, and we just happen to say the right thing. There are habits which develop. There are skills which develop. That cabinet maker, I mean, the things that he was doing with his planes and on his bandsaw and whatnot over the years and decades, he had developed habits of movement, of adjusting his stance, and of applying strength here, and noticing this and that and the next thing. Any skill that we can observe in life, and isn't it wonderful to just watch somebody who really knows what they're doing? I mean, I haven't yet seen these drywallers taping the seams, but if they've been doing it for a while, and I expect they have, it'll be quite, a bit of ballet watching them just do what they need to do. No wasted movements. Well, we're all like this, and practitioners gain this skill as well. It comes and goes, yeah, but we notice it when it's there, and we notice when it isn't, because noticing, attention, mindfulness is at the heart of all of the skills that we're conducting. But so much of all of this develops and emerges. It matures, word I always like to use, but it matures insofar as we can get out of the way. Yeah, we're not the ones doing it, in a sense. We're not the ones always trying to be better or trying to get this right finally. I need to. How long have I been? How the cranky, tyrannical kind of critical mind can sometimes emerge for the best of us. And when that falls away, when we get out of the way, we have the opportunity. We do find freedom in that. There is a kind of a liberation in those moments of just stepping out of the way, falling out of the way, and just um, seeing what comes of attending to the moment. I hope some of that is helpful. I guess my working theory is that if I talk long enough and go in enough circles about something, people will make the best out of it.
Well, thank you. And I also appreciated your imagery about the water getting stiller, so then you can see more clearly through the water, which made a lot of sense.
Yeah, those ancient metaphors and images are they just never they never get stale. They're so good.
Well, thank you.
Is there anyone else that has a question?
One of the reasons that the Brahma Viharas, the Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha are so valuable for practitioners is that for them to work, we have to get out of the way. That's how they work. And it's not that difficult, actually. I've talked often about watching, YouTube videos of cats playing or something. And, just that sense of mudita. I mentioned our monastery dog earlier this evening. And, if the heart is open and you're not obstructing its sort of natural movement and expansiveness, these things naturally elicit a sense of joy or seeing a person in distress, a child who can't find his mom or something like that. I mean, we naturally feel compassion in a circumstance like this. And just that boundless sense of well wishing, of loving kindness, of extending kindness to others. These are, these are not difficult things to work on and to just to massage and to explore, see where they take us. But as soon as they arise, actually in and of themselves as Brahma Viharas, the self is out of the way. And part of the experience of that is there's a sense of ease that accompanies that. That's why we return again and again to these wholesome states. And why, for all of us, they are extremely valuable to cultivate in daily practice, in daily life. Even when you're driving, standing at a stoplight, waiting for a bus, slowly, mindfully washing dishes, whatever it is. There are moments in any life, in any daily experience that offer just a generous space for developing these things. See where they take you. Any other questions? Well,
Ajahn, I have a question. You're
yes, please.
talking about the the prevention, elimination, cultivation, and maintenance. Is that the same as the 4 foundations of mindfulness, would you say?
It's not the same as the 4 foundations of mindfulness are body, sensation, mood,
Ah.
and yeah, but they certainly relate very much to the 4
Right.
foundations of mindfulness. Yeah, and I have spoken a lot about the body, as you know, this evening. So easy to confuse. So many
Right.
lists. Yeah. So many
Thank you.
lists.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So I think I know most of you. Okay, so Matthew's in Winnipeg. Miriam, where is Miriam Rice from? Rice. Where are you from?
From Vancouver.
You're from Vancouver. Okay, so you're in Vancouver. We've had a couple of people from the Okanagan, and I think I heard apparently someone was in the Queen Charlotte's, was it? Or yeah, okay, I got a wave. Anyway, nice to see everyone. Nice to see everyone.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Maybe in the next few years when our Dhamma hall is finished, yeah, we'll do these from the Dhamma hall. Yeah, can give you a virtual tour of the meditation hall. Good. Well, do we have a closing chant, I think?
Yes, which would you like?
Sure. Well, let's do Buddha's words on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to wrong views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Very good. Well, nice to see everyone and all the best.
Thank you
Maybe
so
see
much.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah, maybe see you again in a couple of months. Is that right?
Yes.
Or
Mhm.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ajahn.
I may have less to say in 2 months. I don't know. seem to be.
Okay.
Ajahn, are you in Ontario? No, this is Connie. Hi.
Yes.
Are you in Ontario or are you in Thailand now?
No, I'm in Ontario at
Oh, okay.
Tisara Monastery. Yeah, close to, an
Mhm.
hour and a bit out of Ottawa.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody. Thank you again,
Mhm.
Ajahn.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Ajahn.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Ashen. Good to see
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
And-
Bye, everyone.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
Susan. Love to you and Bill.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. So nice to see you, Rhonda and Brian
Thank you.
and Susan, of course, and Judy. Love to you and Ken, your whole family. And Matthew, thank
Yes,
you for
okay,
coming
guys.
from Winnipeg.
Yes, thanks for having it and thanks for putting us on. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next early when you do.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, Matthew.
Okay, see you guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Thanks
Bye,
very
Jane.
much.
Bye, Connie.
Bye.
Bye.
Night,
Bye,
everyone.
Brian.
Susan.
Bye, Susan.
Night.
Love to you and Bill.
Thanks. Same to you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. So nice to see you, Rhonda.
She just
And you, Brian.
Yeah, good to see you, Shirley. Good to see you,
Yep.
Jean.
Good
I
night.
like these
Night.
meetings.
Good.
Thank you.
We'll have Ajahn Pavaro again in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I've known him 22 years now, so he's special to me. We go way back.
Yes. He started with Anagarika, believe it or not.
Yeah, he did. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I see those wonderful books behind you.
Oh, wow. This is
My-
my virtual
my-
background.
My envy comes out when I see all those books.
Yeah, they're not mine. It's just a virtual background.
Oh, well, it's a lovely virtual background. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah. Life is good. Carry on.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And good to see you,
Thank-
Jane.
Good to see you too,
Okay.
Brian.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, Brian.
Yeah, I'll join in 2 months. I always like to.
Yep.
Wonderful.
You take care.
Okay. See you.
Bye-bye.
Night. Hi, Shirley. I have a technical question
Jean.
for you.
Mhm.
So, oh, yeah, I've stopped recording. Yeah. Oh my, it's still recording.